everybody, and welcome back to the 4-Star Podcast. I'm your host, Jordan DuPont, joined by Nick DeCola, Tig Mullen, and Andrew Freeman. That's right. The entire crew is actually here for the first time in, a month?
At least a month.
So welcome. On top of the whole crew being here, we're actually happy for once, for about the first time in a month. The Bears somehow managed to not only beat, but double up the Commanders last Thursday, winning by a score of 40-20. And for the most part, they looked good in doing so. There were a few moments in the second half where me and the group of Bears fans at the bar I was at in Scottsdale, we were like, okay, here we go. The collapse is happening. And then they
definitely tried their best to blow it, that's for sure.
They tried.
Really tried.
They failed, thank God, but they tried. So with that being said, we'll get digging into the Bears. Nick put in our outline here, where the expletive, pick your favorite one, has this been all season? So Nick, if you would like to start, I'll give the floor to you since I know you typed that up.
Yeah, I definitely typed this up. Anytime there's an F-bomb in the outline, it means I typed it up. And it kind of goes with another bullet point that I typed, is that the coaching staff is still full of clowns because they're full of clowns. Like I don't understand. This is the second season in a row where first 4 weeks, the offense looks like they haven't set foot on a football field together before. And then after a few weeks, the offense goes in, it's like, all right, we're going to go take a look at things. And then they just do, Luke Getsy just does the things that every idiot on Twitter has been yelling about for 6 weeks. Like last year, they were like, why aren't you running Fields? Why aren't you rolling him out? Why aren't you doing design runs for him? And then he decided like week 6 to immediately start doing that. And then Fields was like the best running quarterback in the history of quarterbacks. This year, it's just like, oh, wait. Okay, 4th and 1. We'll just do the tush push. Like we've been screaming since week 1. Oh, you traded
it twice, right?
They did it twice.
3 times.
Yeah.
Oh, we traded the first overall pick for DJ Moore, a really good wide receiver. You know what? Why don't we start trying to get him the ball? This is why I'm going to be a wet blanket. I know, Jordan, you're very excited, but I am scared. I am scared that this team is going to play well enough that it saves this coaching staff's job. And I do not want that. I want everybody gone end of season. And I'm kind of scared that if Fields keeps playing like this, no, granted, I want Fields to play well, but I'm scared it's going to save Eberflus's job. And I don't want that.
Yeah, Nick and I were talking in the lobby here while we were waiting for everybody else to join in. I have a very I know there's a lot of people on Bears Twitter that have been saying the same thing, but I like to think it's controversial because it's more fun that way. But I want Justin Fields to play just well enough that we don't draft Caleb Williams. We trade the number 1 overall pick. We take Marvin Harrison Jr. We help bolster the line, take another defensive player in the early rounds because we have the number 1 overall pick again. And Ryan Poles, actually, if you look at the trade with where we're sitting now, to get DJ Moore, we gave the Panthers Bryce Young, who is right. Yes. Yeah. Gave the Panthers Bryce Young, who's 0-5. We got Darnell Wright at number 9 overall. We got DJ Moore, who has 11 receiving touchdowns on the year, which is tied for first.
Excuse you, sir.
I think
that's how many Fields is through.
Yeah, DJ Moore is
5. He's still
that would be insane. Could you imagine?
No, Fields has thrown 11 touchdown passes, which is also tied for first. But DJ Moore has 5 receiving touchdowns.
Yeah, not anymore.
You really should double check.
Pro Football Reference
after a Sunday. No, man. Kirk retook the league, I think.
I just looked at it an hour. This is frustrating. But anyway, I'm sorry. Apparently, Pro Football Reference has out-of-date information an hour before we record on a Monday.
Blame them for your lackluster research.
Anyway, so Justin Fields is up there in the top of touchdown passes. DJ Moore has 5 receiving touchdowns, which, again, as of my looking an hour ago, was tied with Tyreek Hill for most in the NFL. Plus, we get a second-round pick in 2025. So, the trade itself is looking really, really good. Granted, Chase Claypool trade, utter, complete disaster, failure, blew up in his face. But the trade for trading away the number 1 overall pick is playing out really well. So I would trust him to do it again.
Okay. Here's the thing, though. Like, if the Bears end up with a number 1 overall pick again, whether it's their own pick or whether or not it's Carolina's pick, I have a really hard time seeing them pass on Caleb Williams unless Justin Fields is playing just out of his mind, because it's not just the quarterback. We would have to pay Justin a huge contract on top of that, rather than getting Caleb Williams, who was a better prospect coming out than even Fields was. We all loved Fields coming out, just on a fresh rookie contract. And I didn't really buy that last year when Fields had another year on his deal, but and then you have to pay Fields. You have to bring in, again, I want the coaching staff gone, so it's got to be his third coaching staff in 4 years. Maybe he regresses under the coaching staff. Look at what the Giants with Daniel Jones, they him, and he looks like garbage. Now, I know I'm not comparing the two. I think Justin Fields is better, but I mean, that's still a possibility that you have to consider. So I don't know. I have a really hard time seeing them pass on Caleb Williams. They can draft him.
Yeah, it comes down to this in your scenario that you're kind of pointing out, Jordan, is that in your scenario, is the coaching staff being kept in this scenario?
Because if Fields plays
plays well enough,
he probably saves
passing up on Caleb Williams, and they're probably going to. It's probably going to be enough to save the coaching staff's jobs,
right? And that's why I understand this is definitely me living in fantasy land, because I would ideally want to keep Fields, but be able to bring in somebody like Eric Bieniemy.
And not after last week. No, I'm not on Bieniemy.
Yeah, that's fair.
He couldn't
somebody
beat
couldn't beat talent too.
He couldn't beat our awful defense. No.
Yeah, that's fair. But I would ideally like Justin Fields to stay, because from my point of view, I mean, look at the 49ers and Trey Lance. Just because you have some highly touted prospect that you trade up in the draft for does not mean that they're guaranteed to pan. I mean, that's a Mike Shanahan. That is the easiest offense to play quarterback under, arguably. And Trey Lance couldn't do it. And he was taken 3rd overall. And then you got Brock Purdy coming in, that
was a dumb pick anyway, though. I knew that day. I knew immediately that was a dumb pick.
I mean, Shanahan never even wanted.
You can still have anyway. You can still have Jamarcus Russell, another number 1 overall quarterback. You just never know. You never know for sure. And at least with Justin Fields, we know what we can expect given good circumstances surrounding him. So, and you can't tell me that if he has DJ Moore, Darnell Mooney, and Marvin Harrison Jr., he's not going to light the field up.
So I know we're going to get into this here, but a couple things Justin Fields stat-wise for the season where he's at right now. So expected points added per play. Right now he's ranked 25th in the NFL among all quarterbacks. Completion percentage over expectation. He is 22nd in the NFL. Success rate, 24th in the NFL. Now here's where it gets a little bit better. 13th in passing yards, 2nd in passing touchdowns. He has the highest pass touchdowns percentage in the NFL. Also 7th in yards per attempt. So he's a bit of a mixed bag right now, and that's after, mind you, 2 really excellent games. So that kind of tells you the first 3 games were that bad for him, right? So I think the thing we need to keep in mind here is that yes, he's had 2 really awesome games, and it looks really promising if he can keep this up. But also he's going up against the Denver Broncos, who might have a historically bad defense, next level historically bad defense. They made Zach Wilson look somewhat competent yesterday, and that's saying something. And then the Washington Commanders, I know they have a really talented defensive line, but that defense also, they've given up 30 points in 4 straight games. So it's not like that defense is necessarily good either. So the thing with Justin is I want to see him continue to play well, but the bugaboo for him has been, can he do this against consistently good teams and good defenses every single week, right? I mean, he's had some success before, but I mean, look at earlier in the season, the Packers aren't even that great of a defense. He struggled. The Buccaneers, not even that great of a defense. He struggled. Yes, it's great that we're seeing this progression from him right now, but I don't know. Maybe I'm scarred by Mitch, because Mitch would look so good against really bad defenses and then just crap his pants against anybody else. And we've kind of seen a similar trend with Justin Fields in the past, especially this year. So I don't know. I'm still in a wait and see approach. The thing we want to also keep in mind is by the end of this year, we want to be able to make the decision of not only would you pass up on Caleb Williams, but are you willing to, pay a significant amount of money to Justin Fields by the end of this season, right? And if the answer is no, then that tells you all you need to know in terms of keeping him as your long-term quarterback and going with a different option. That's That's where my mind is at. Like, are you willing to give him the $50 million a year contract, or you're moving on? Basically, is where I'm at.
I do want to make one more quick point too, kind of piggybacking off of that. The other thing we haven't been able to see, obviously, because he just made his return against the Commanders, Tevin Jenkins played freaking lights out. Literally zero pressures allowed against the Commanders. And like Andrew just said, that is a very talented, I
was really impressed with how the O-line played.
The offensive line looked fantastic.
Especially, and that's not a bad defensive line. That might not be a great defense overall, but that's not a bad defensive line at all. And they held up.
Sweat and
Chase Young.
Chase Young.
Future Bear Chase Young.
Chase Young had a great game. Chase Young did have a great game. You know, it felt weird because like they really dominated them in the first half up front, and it felt like the second half the Commanders came out like gangbusters to start things off. They were getting pressure on Fields and all that stuff. But
maybe it's a lack of adjustment from the coaching staff to what
Washington. That is, and maybe we can get into that because I think for all the positives from yesterday, there were a lot of positives. The second half, like when we mentioned, like the Bears did everything they could to lose this game and just failed to do so. Like they literally did just about everything they could to lose this game. I felt like in the second half, like once again, like no adjustments.
I mean, admittedly, there was some bad luck there. Like the entire running back room got hurt. They were down there handing off to Kari Blasingame, who'd taken like 3 handoffs to his career going into Thursday. Yeah. But it was still the game plan was just not. It was not there.
Yeah.
I also want to say, I mean, I know the Fields discussion will go on forever, but like yes, it was a very good game too. But like, if you watch like the throws we got the touchdowns on, like the DJ Moore like stops and just like every throw was so late. It's honestly kind of amazing he didn't get picked off for like 3 straight touchdowns. like there was no like even when his good games, we're still not seeing Fields throw with anticipation. Like, dude, you know what the route is. It's a stop route. Like just like you need to throw the ball immediately. And then if you watch JT O'Sullivan's film take on it, like his whole gripe was the fact that they kept on coming off play action, which takes so long to develop considering how quick of a route it is. Yeah. But like still, like it's like Fields, like you just gotta trust that laser of an arm, dude. Like how are you not trusting the fact that your guy's just gonna, it's DJ, like he's gonna turn around, so when he turns around the ball needs to be in his face, not he turns around, okay, now I can throw the ball.
Yeah, there's nothing bad with that. Yeah, and honestly, he is late on those, but also like the throws were so good on some of them.
That's true, but yeah, it's like I want to see more anticipation, especially on like a route where it's like where he's putting the ball. Like there's no other reads in this play. You got guys running around, sure, but there's no other reads. Like you're waiting, you see that corner off of him, and you know where you're putting that ball. So if you know where you're putting that ball, put that ball there. And then if DJ fails to catch it, like, well, he's a pro receiver, he needs to be ready for that. So,
well, and that's the other thing. I think Justin is finally getting. I don't want to say he was uncomfortable before, but I think the level of comfort with DJ has increased tremendously. It seems like we're getting to the point where he's realizing, okay, if I put the ball within 3 feet of him, he's going to catch it.
Sure, but here's my kind of argument. If Justin can do it, so can Caleb Williams.
And I'm totally fine with that. I'm just saying, as far as exciting football goes from here on out and the potential for us to actually win games, I think he's finally at that point where TJ's just it's not even fair. It's not fair.
Yeah, he's a beast.
Time of the podcast to like just start gushing over how amazing DJ Moore is. Because I feel like we're getting to that point, but my goodness, he was awesome in this game. He really was.
That was great.
It also makes it look less and less like Darnell will be coming back, in my opinion, especially if there's a chance to take Marvin Harrison. It's like, I know Fields tried hitting him on a couple of balls that were kind of like underthrown, like that one fade and everything like that. But it just feels like anytime I remember like while watching the game, I was like, oh yeah, Darnell's still here. Like honestly,
even on a couple of those throws, I thought the throw was good. I thought Darnell he tried to like go up for it rather, but if he just kept running, it would have.
Yes, there was that one where there was a one where he turned around rather than just tracking the ball and trusting his speed.
Exactly.
Yeah. But then the fade on the end zone throw, that was a little underthrown and also a little late. Again, talking about anticipation. Like if you know you're throwing that fade, dude, gear it up. Let's go. Put that touch on it. So
yeah, and that's the thing with Justin, that he's never going to be a guy that's really going to anticipate throws like that. Which is, I mean, even you kind of mentioned like even in his good moments, like he's still waiting to see guys get open before he's firing it in there. So, yeah, I mean, that's one of those throws where honestly they could have called it PI as well, because I thought the DB got a little handsy on him, but also like, I don't know. I'm also at the point where it's like, I kind of want the players to play at this point as well. You got to let the players play. And I don't know. I like my DBs who are all, giant physical monsters be able to put their hands on guys too and stuff like that. So there's a balance to it. But yeah. Anyway, DJ Moore, let's get back to him because he had what was his stat line in this game? Like 243 yards and like 3 touchdowns. I had him on a couple fantasy football teams, which
I know you did, you asshole.
I think
for
I
those
have.
of you that couldn't tell, the
as
4 of
well.
us are also in a fantasy football league together. So
I faced DJ Moore in 2 leagues.
I had DJ Moore in 2 leagues.
Not just unfair. DJ Moore and ATN in 2 leagues. I had Jamar Chase in one of them, and it just didn't matter.
8 receptions on 10 targets, 230 yards, 3 touchdowns.
230. Yeah, he had 230 of Justin Fields' 282 yards on the day. So literally, it was DJ Moore. Colkman had a couple catches, and that was it for the Bears passing game. Like, it literally just went through DJ Moore. And I mean, he was spectacular stuff. Like, and it wasn't just like he was getting open deep, he was getting yards after the catch, he was making tough contested catches. Like, it was the full package, man. Like, to have a true number 1 wide receiver again, feels really good. Feels really good to have. And that's something that they've been missing really since, like, I guess, like Allen Robinson for the couple years where he was playing at his best, and then going back to obviously to Brandon Marshall. Like, it feels good to have that guy that can be a go-to guy in offense for you.
yeah, it was. Does Justin Fields still have a perfect passer rating when he's throwing to?
Yes,
I
he
mean,
does.
He might.
It's just disgusting. It's not even fair.
Yeah.
Is there anything else we really want to cover here? I mean, I feel like we've already kind of talked about the coaching staff being full of clowns. I think we've been saying that it's the same stuff we've been saying for the past 5 weeks at this point. I mean, we mentioned no adjustments at half.
News today, Kyler Gordon is able to be reactivated off IR. I don't know if he will be, but he is.
I think I saw a report that said he is coming off of IR.
Okay.
Mhm.
So
He's designated for return.
hopefully JJ and Eddie can get healthy, because Lord knows.
Yeah,
never
both
healthy.
those
So
guys are pretty close to coming back as well. So we could be seeing the secondary finally get healthy for the first time all year, which would be nice because the defensive line's coming off their best game of the year. I mean, that's not saying a lot, but
Billings looks good.
Billings looks good every single week. Dexter actually had a pretty good game, kind of a breakout performance for him, which is, tough for me to say as his biggest critic on this podcast. But yeah, he was. Go back and watch film. Like, he looked pretty good. I mean, yeah, and Washington's all line isn't good, but like he.
At least we know we can develop somewhere, I guess. I don't know.
I guess. Yeah. The defensive line's looking, I don't know. I'm still worried about that group overall. I don't think they'll be able to hold up against Minnesota coming up, but I think it'll help when they get a healthier secondary that can maybe give them an extra second or half second or so, to get to the quarterback, which is they need every single second that they can get. So.
Well, and the other thing to consider with, I guess I'm going to just jump into the preview for this coming Sunday. Justin Jefferson got injured, and I think, if I remember right, they said hamstring. So there's a good chance he actually does not suit up against the Bears, which would increase our chances of victory tremendously.
Which is a good thing? I don't know if that's even a good thing at this point. I want this coaching staff gone. Like, if that takes losing the rest of the way,
See,
then
this
so
is
be
why.
it.
That's where I'm
This is
at.
why I'm
That's where
so
I'm at.
torn, because like I'm with you. I don't want this coaching staff around, but I am so sick of watching losing football, and I don't want Justin Fields to hate himself.
If you're sick of watching losing football, you'll want this coaching staff gone.
I get that.
Eberflus is what? He's 4-18.
Yeah, he's awful. He's awful. He's one of the worst.
A lot of
coaches
losing.
in the NFL.
It's a lot of losing.
And yeah, I mean, it's at the point where, like, Carolina, for instance, like, they look so bad that the Bears are probably guaranteed to get the number 1 overall pick at this point, unless they find a way to salvage that situation. So
they have a better chance when they bench him for Andy Dalton, honestly.
Right. So you're almost guaranteed to get the number 1 overall pick at this point. It's looking like. So now it's a matter of like, can you be bad enough? And honestly, I'm willing to, as I hate to say it, but I'm willing to sacrifice if Justin Fields has to be the sacrificial lamb to get this coaching staff out of here. I mean, it is what it is. I think you still could get something pretty good for Justin Fields in a trade.
Well, that's the thing, because if he goes anywhere else, he's immediately going to turn into a superstar
Probably.
quarterback. I think we all know that. He's got the physical talent, and if he finds the right person to coach him up to anticipate a little bit better, he's going to be an MVP candidate perennially, I think.
Like, if it was any other year, quarterback class-wise in the draft, like, I'd be probably singing a different tune here. But knowing what's coming down the pike from that standpoint, I mean, they're really, from a quarterback standpoint, there isn't really a lose situation, although the Bears probably will find a way to find that scenario, knowing them. But I mean, it's either Justin Fields goes on an absolute tear and he's the guy, or he doesn't quite put it all together and you're cleaning house with this coaching staff and you can bring in another guy. So I guess we'll see what happens.
Yeah. The last thing I'll say before we move on, because we haven't talked about this a long time, is I am very glad though that we did keep Justin and not go for Bryce Young. I remember seeing on Twitter, everybody's like, well, it's like this argument now for this year of like get Caleb because of the economics of like the contract and everything like that. Last year they're like get Bryce Young, and I was like, no.
Last year it didn't make sense, but this year it would make a lot more sense to reset that clock.
Yeah.
Well, once again, we'll wrap up the Bears segment here. Game is going to be Sunday, noon Central, 1 Eastern, 10. Arizona's weird and doesn't do daylight saving, so I don't even know what you want to call that. 10 my time.
11 Colorado time. I don't know.
Yeah, wherever you're listening from, just cover all the bases, and it's going to be on Fox. So I'm ready to be heard again. I hope not, but
how come we always get on Fox games? We never get on CBS games
because the NFC does Fox and the AFC is CBS.
Really? Is that really a thing?
Yep.
Wow. You're 26 years old.
26 years old.
No,
dude, not at all.
Be honest, I didn't realize that was a thing either. I'm being entirely honest.
Because I know that we would get on it, so I guess it's like when we play AFC teams. So
I knew the Bears were usually on Fox, but I never made that connection.
Yep, that's always been the case. That's why when I was a kid, I thought the Fox theme was the Bears theme for games. Never put it together until I got to high school. I'm like, wait a minute, this is the same for all these other teams here. Just never made that connection.
I'm embarrassed. We're gonna move on. So obviously the Cubs season is over. There hasn't really been any news. If we want to do anything Cubs adjacent, the Brewers got swept out of the wild card round. Yay!
Yeah,
screw the Brewers.
Playoff Kershaw, gonna playoff Kershaw.
Yeah, playoff Clayton Kershaw in 29 starts now owns the worst pitching playoff ERA in MLB history, which is just kind of mind-boggling. But anyway, we'll move on. If you can't tell, Nick and I repping the Hawks. Hockey starts tomorrow, baby.
Let's go.
Let's go.
It's not the Hawks. I just wanted to rep Green Day.
Green Day shirt decided to distract me with that for some reason. The regular season for the Blackhawks opens against the Pittsburgh Penguins tomorrow night. We get a Connor Bedard versus Sid the Kid matchup, which should be interesting and entertaining. I don't think we're winning that game, but should be fun to watch at least.
Yeah, the Blackhawks, if you didn't see it, they put out their roster for the season, and I know you were really worried about this, but Connor Bedard did make the team. So everyone that bought a jersey, it didn't go to waste. You don't have to put it away till next year. He did make the team. So no, it was never in doubt that he was making the team. Kevin Korchinski. I
don't know. He only had one preseason goal, and it was an empty netter, and he was not very happy about that.
So angry that his first goal in the NHL, in the preseason, but in the NHL, was the empty netter. He just didn't even want to celebrate it. It's really funny.
He didn't smile. It was so funny. I watched the third period of that game, so it was pretty entertaining.
But yeah, the roster is cut down today. Kevin Korchinski did make the team. He was the defensive prospect that kind of up in the air whether or not he was going to go back to the WHL in Seattle, but he's going to start the year with the big league team. So I'm really interested to see how the defense holds up, because we have 7 defensemen on the roster right now, and 3 of them. Alex Vlasic is 22. He got a little bit of time in the NHL last season. Wyatt Kaiser the same. He's 21, and Korchinski is 19. So the Hawks are rolling with a very young defensive core to start the season, which could go really good. There's probably going to be some growing pains. So if you're betting, bet the over in all the Hawks games, especially with Mrazek in net, because we all know
I was going to
Mrazek.
say,
I
know he's a vet, but he's no brick wall. I'll put it that way. He's not the worst.
There was a reason we got, I think it was a couple second-round picks for his contract. So, yeah, there's that. Also,
I'm gonna be the biggest Blackhawks fan this year. I tell you what, I'm not missing a game.
In other betting news, this is random, but Taylor Hall, a new arrival from Boston, got him in a trade to be Connor Bedard's wing. He had a baby son. The son was born yesterday. Congrats to Taylor Hall and his family. And also in hockey, whenever players have kids, they usually score in their next game. So if you want to bet on, Taylor Hall anytime goal, it's probably a pretty good bet. Like Jordan said, the regular season starts tomorrow. Over the next week, we have the Hawks start like 5 straight games on the road at Pittsburgh. Then the next night they go to Boston. Saturday they go to Montreal, and then they play the Maple Laughs next Monday, a week from today. I like calling them the Maple Laughs because it's a very fitting name.
For those of you that aren't big hockey fans and are like, what? It's the Toronto Maple Leafs, and they're horrible. Like, probably, I would think, going to be worse than the Hawks, legitimately.
No, they're not. They're not going to be worse than the Hawks. No, they're not going to be worse than the Hawks. They're going to be in contention. They're going to probably make the playoffs, and then they're going to lose in the first round, like they always do. They're going to disappoint. They have, I don't know how long they have the longest active streak without a Stanley Cup. I don't know what it's at the moment. If someone wants to look that up while I'm talking, you can do that. But while Jordan's doing that, I do have a little bit of a prediction game that I'm going to spring on you guys. Just the season starts tomorrow. We got to do it. Obviously, we're not expecting huge things from this Hawks team. We're just expecting, the young guys to come out and play to come out and develop and see how well they can play. So first prediction, Connor Bedard goals. The most a rookie has had in the last 10 years was Austin Matthews in 2016-17. He scored 40 goals. So that's the most in the last 10 years. Let's start with Jordan. How many goals do you think Connor Bedard has?
How many games? 72 games, right?
82.
82. Okay. I'm going to say 48.
So you think he breaks the record?
Yeah.
Okay. Gotcha. Andrew, what do you got?
I'll go with 38.
38. Okay.
Yeah, I would say he comes close.
All right.
But he makes up for it in other ways.
Okay. Tig, what do you think?
What's the most goals in a season by anybody ever?
The most goals in a season.
Yeah.
I don't know most goals in the season. I know the most goals by a rookie. Even though he technically wasn't a rookie, because I'm pretty sure he played overseas, was Teemu Selanne. He scored 78. That was as a rookie, but I mean, he had a professional experience.
Hang on.
Wayne Gretzky, 92 goals in an 80-game season in 81-82 with the Oilers.
Bedard's getting 93.
I'm going to say he gets 37. So jot that down. We'll see who gets it right. All right. Blackhawks wins. How many games does this Blackhawks team win? They won 26 games last year. Jordan. 30. Andrew.
I'll say 33. I think they get a boost.
Tig.
82.
82. All right. If this team goes on a run and makes the playoffs, like Tig's just gonna kill this game.
Right. Well, so go ahead. Sorry.
No, you go ahead. You go ahead.
No, give your prediction and then I'll go because
all right. I'm gonna say like 32. Again, this team's not gonna be good. They got a really young decor. The goaltender is still a big question mark, and we're not expected to compete. This is all just about Bedard's development. So, yeah.
So that's my whole thing is I think in the offensive zone, we're going to look like a really, really good hockey team. In the defensive zone and in the net, I think we're going to look like absolute trash. So I think there's going to be a lot of very fun games to watch from a scoring standpoint. I just don't think we're going to be able to keep the puck from going in our own net with Mrazek and our young defensive core.
I will say, I know it's preseason, but I don't know if this was the last preseason game, but last week against the Wild, this was on Thursday. They had a couple power plays in the first period, and that power play looks dangerous
Nasty.
with Bedard on it. It looks
Thursday.
Yeah, they looked great. So,
dude, oh my god, but I finally got to watch a game and see Connor Bedard shoot the puck, and they do not exaggerate with how just disgustingly beautiful his shot is. I mean, his wrister looked like a slap shot. It was coming out. They clocked it at 88 miles an hour on a wrist shot. That is insane. And it's accurate. It's quick. My mind was blown.
And the way he can adjust the angle to receive the goal. He arguably has the best shot on the team as an 18-year-old.
Yep.
Like, that's not an overstatement. It's really incredible.
And if all the comps for his stick handling to Patrick Kane, 100% warranted.
Oh yeah,
100% warranted. I mean, his stick handling is just filthy. It's not fair. I'm very excited that we won the draft lottery because I think in the next, finally we have a team where we can just have reasonable expectations. Like, look, this is a development year. It's going to be fun to watch Bedard. It's going to be fun to watch the offense. It's going to be 1, 2, 3 years before we're really back in contention. And I think it's going to be a fun ride.
Got it. I do have one more prediction. Who leads the team in goals not named Connor Bedard? So pick a player to have the most goals on the team, not named Connor Bedard. Jordan?
I just thought like the Blackhawk roster real quick. Pick a name.
Who you got,
That's
Jordan?
Tough. I'm trying to think of where. The problem is there's been so much turnover on the team in the last couple of years. It's hard for me to keep track of.
For me, it's one of two players. I feel like it's not too hard.
I'm probably going to say Taylor Hall just because he's in the same line.
Mm-hmm.
So if you got guys watching Bedard too much, Taylor Hall's right there on the wing to pick up the scraps.
I have a feeling my prediction is going to be Lucas Reichel. I think he's looked really good at center in the preseason, and he's looked dangerous on the power play, just in the offensive zone. He looks great. So I'm very excited to see Reichel take the next step too. He looked great at the end of last season. Hope to see more of that this season. Andrew, what do you got?
I'll take Hall.
The Taylor Hall tag.
You know what's funny is like literally before you said it, Nick, I was like looking at all their names and I was like, Lucas Reichel, that looks pretty cool. I'm gonna pick him. So yeah, I'm rolling with that one, baby.
Hell yeah.
There we go.
All right. Yeah, that's pretty much all I have for the Blackhawks, unless anyone has anything else they want to talk about. Season starts tomorrow. 82-0. Let's go.
I mean, all I'll say is that I'm just excited to watch Blackhawks hockey again for the first time in a few years. what it comes down
and
to.
I'm excited to learn, really grow in my hockey fandom.
Yeah, it's actually something to look forward to watching, which is definitely a step in the right direction.
Ty's going to come on the podcast next week. What the hell are they doing?
We have like all the analytics, all the stats. Yeah, I'll be like the best hockey spawn.
He's going to be doing like
you have to take that shot in that situation. What are you doing?
He's going to have like clips ready and do full-on film breakdowns.
Yeah.
Here's what I see happening. Did you guys all watch Ted Lasso?
No.
I have, but I haven't finished it yet.
I have not.
I can't say it because it's kind of a mini spoiler. Never mind.
Okay. All right. Well,
you're
leaving the audience high and dry.
For those who don't know me, I get really I don't know if I have a form of ADD or not, but I get hyper focused into stuff. So if I get hyper focused into this, you can't expect me by the end of the year to actually know what I'm talking about. So that's all my warning is.
Okay. I'll put it this way. For those of you that have watched all of Ted Lasso, I'll say it this way so I don't spoil it for those who haven't. But season 1, there is a very specific rule in soccer or football, whatever you want to call it, that Ted does not understand. And in the last episode of season 3, he calls that play happening and everybody's like, huh? And I'm just like, that's going to be tied.
Is it offside? Because nobody understands offside in soccer.
Offside.
Yeah, I was about to say that's because that's in the
that's like a
commercial.
common
They
joke.
have that in the commercials too. Is that he doesn't understand offside? So that's
he finally gets it in the end. So I'm just saying, beginning of the season, that's going to be tied. End of the season.
Ty, what's that clip? I think you showed it to me before. Where the dude's like, I think I understand the Kennedy assassination more than I understand offside in soccer.
Yeah, because he asked that one goalkeeper we had when we were going to the World Cup in the 2010s,
Tim Howard.
Yeah. Tim Howard, he's like, do you understand offsides? And Tim Howard like laughs. He's like, yeah. And he's like, I think I understand the Kennedy assassination more than I do offsides in soccer.
Oh man. Well, we do have some hockey to look forward to, and honestly, I'm very excited. I haven't really been watching the Blackhawks lately because there hasn't been much to watch about the Blackhawks, but I love hockey. It's probably my favorite sport to watch, so I'm definitely excited to dig in a little bit more this year. I guess, Andrew, did anything happen with the Bulls and their preseason? Is there anything worth noting?
Well, preseason started. They lost to the Bucks, which not a surprise. So preseason starting with the Bulls. I mean, I didn't watch too much of the game. I was able to catch some of the highlights and whatnot, and just coming through the box score here. Like, the only thing of note that I'll put out there is that Kobe White was in the starting lineup, and he had a pretty nice game for him. 6 of 10 shooting, hit a couple threes, 6 assists, 14 points. Like, it's preseason, so you can't put too much stock into it. But if Kobe White is a starter for this team, I think that's something to know, because they've usually been going with Alex Caruso as that other guard to start. Ever since Lonzo's been out of the lineup, obviously, because they value Caruso's defense. But if Kobe White can be, a starting guard for them, kind of be that flamethrower guy that can play alongside DeRozan and Levine and Vucevic and spread the floor there, I guess that's a positive development, because they need another shooter on the floor, because we know DeRozan can't shoot, and Patrick Williams doesn't want to shoot. He's a good 3-point shooter, but he just doesn't take a lot of shots, unfortunately. So yeah, you need another floor spacer on there, and Kobe White can provide that. But otherwise, not really much. It's preseason. Let's get to the NBA games and
it's the Bulls who didn't make any major changes in the offseason. So
right.
Is that mid-season tournament still on? Are they still doing that?
Yeah,
it is. I don't know. Is it starting this year, or is it starting the year?
I believe it's starting this year.
I think it is this year.
Starting this year.
Going into the Wayback Machine.
They're going to win that, and that's going to be all they talk about for the entire year, is that they're mid-season tournament champions, and then they're going to get kicked out of the first round again, because, of course.
You finished ninth in the conference. You didn't win a playoff game. Well, yeah, but we had a really good showing in the midseason tournament. We really
literally nobody cares about. All the players think it's stupid. All the coaches think it's stupid. I'm sure all the GMs think it's stupid. Like, I don't even know what to say.
Well, with that quick wrap up on obviously our favorite of our 4 Chicago teams, we'll move on to the 180 segment
of our teams.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we don't talk about the White Sox, sorry, but we just, it's the White Sox. So with that being said, we'll move on to our 180s, where we just get 3 minutes to talk about whatever we want. We've already given Ty permission to go over this week, because he's got something very special in store for all you little boys and girls. But we'll start off with Andrew. Floor is yours.
Yeah, so I want to talk a little about some college football action that happened this past weekend. I mean, college football, we all know there's always a lot of sicko content in the college football world. And we got some premium sicko content this past weekend in Miami versus Georgia Tech, where Miami had a chance to ice the game by just kneeling down twice to end the game. Instead, they decided to run the ball, and they fumbled, and Georgia Tech goes on to score a touchdown to end up winning the game. Like, there is so much to discuss and dissect here about what happened. First of all, you have the clip of the one player on the Miami bench where he's literally looks like he's about to cry on the bench. He's like, what are we doing? What are we doing? Just repeating that to himself. Like, even the players are just like flabbergasted about this. But this all comes down to Mario Cristobal, the head coach of Miami, who, man, like, what are you thinking here in the situation? Just is the kneel play not in your playbook on offense? Just take the knee, run the clock out, and you got the game. Here's what makes it worse. His offensive line coach, I'm getting the name here, Alex Mirabal, I think is the name, how to pronounce it. There's clips of him going on Twitter right now where you can see Mirabal going up to Cristobal and telling him that it's time to knee. It's time to start taking a knee here to ice the game. And he just flats out ignores him. So not only is he ignoring his assistant coaches, goes out and does this, loses them the game, But this isn't the first time that Cristobal has done this. You go back to his tenure at Oregon. He did the exact same thing in 2018 against Stanford, where they had a chance to just take a knee to win the game. They decided to run it. They fumbled the ball, and they lost the game to Stanford. So clearly this guy is not learning too much from his mistakes here. And, I mean, it just goes to show that college football, I mean, there's never a dull moment because you have really dumb coaching decisions like this. And the fact that these guys keep on getting higher just means that we're going to keep on getting these dumb moments because they don't learn. That's for dang sure. So, Mario Cristobal, I mean, just wow, what a moment! Just I cannot believe that we get this beauty of sicko entertainment from this sport that we all love. So that's my tribute to Mario Cristobal, who just continues to impress us with his decisions.
I don't know why every football coach at any level doesn't just have like a 14-year-old that's played a bunch of Madden with them on the sideline to manage the clock in these situations. Like,
to be fair, the 14-year-old would be like, throw for Hurts. I want to stat pad.
No, but like specifically just for clock management. Like, I think the average like 12-year-old with a PS5 can manage the clock better than a lot of these head coaches that are getting paid millions of dollars. So,
and you know what? That sounds like a great coaching funnel to get more Mike McDaniels in to the NFL. So it sounds like a win-win to me.
You know what this reminds me of too is like John Boy. I think I mispronounced the last name. Sorry, John. But from Secret Base and everything like that.
Yeah,
Like they
Boyce.
did that whole video where like literally if the Falcons just like took a knee after they went up 28-3, they could have just won the game because like that's how bad the Falcons did after they got that lead. Where like they had a better shot just kneeing 3 straight plays and then punting than they did actually playing the ball game. And that's just kind of beautiful to see. Obviously, it's a totally different situation, but just the fact that you don't take a knee and you've already done it already. I mean, it's just beautiful.
Yeah, the fact that this is not the first time. This has
no
happened.
timeouts. The play clock is 40 seconds for those who don't know, and I think there's like 35 seconds left on the game clock. Literally, you take a knee and you start shaking hands. That's all you got to do. That is all you got to do. Beautiful.
The fact that he's done this multiple times now, like if that's not an fireable offense, I don't know what is. I really don't know what is, but maybe we should just keep him hired so that we just keep on getting moments like that because clearly he's gonna do it again. He's gonna be like that meme where he's like, "Don't tell me to do it."
Want to see me do it again?
Want to see me do it again?
And the other meme of I still got one more in me. That's the other one that worked.
Oh man. Well, I guess I will take over the floor now. So moving to a new city can be an interesting thing because, obviously, for those of you that don't know, I lived in Wisconsin for 3.5 years before I moved to Arizona. And you can ask these guys, I am like crazy about Chicago sports. Like it's been my whole life. I'm an idiot for it, but I love all my teams. And honestly, not being able to go to Wrigley Field this summer is kind of eating away at me inside. Because even when I was in Wisconsin, I was only, 10 minutes over the Illinois border. And when I was living in Wisconsin, my ex's family were Cubs and Bears fans. So I was still around people that would watch all those games and whatever. But moving to Arizona, I don't even get televised Bears games out here because, I'm way out of market. It's no chance. So actually, while Tig was here, we were out at brunch, and right around the corner from the brunch spot, he's like, "Are those Bears flags on that bar over there?" I was like, "Oh yeah." So I looked it up, and there is a place in Scottsdale, Arizona called Gilligan's that is a Bears bar. And that is where I was to watch the Bears beat the Commanders. And let me tell you, it was incredible. I want to give a shout out to all those people. It's only been a Bears bar for about a year, but it's a great group over there. I had a blast. Nick can attest to it because we watched
It was a great place to watch a game.
Yeah, Nick was there when he visited. The group was very welcoming. Told Nick and I both like, hey, anytime you want to come back, like sit at our table. You are one of us. You are part of the family. Nick's like, well, I'm flying back because I live there, but I was like, I will be back every single chance I get. And I'm going to out myself a little bit here. The next Bears game is at 10 o'clock in the morning. I don't work till 4. So I am going to be at Gilligan's at 10 o'clock in the morning before I have to go into work to watch a Bears game. No, I will not be drinking, but I will be there enjoying it because it is a blast. So if anybody is kind of an expatriate of your home sports city, definitely try and find a bar for your team wherever you've moved to, because it is very welcoming. It's a very comfortable atmosphere, and you'll make some new friends and meet some great people along the way. So shout out to the Gilligan's crew. Thank you.
Alrighty. Well, that's really cool. That is really cool though, because I can't remember the place. When I was living in Colorado Springs, there was also a Bears bar, and it was a lot of fun to be there. And I remember mentioning some guys from Mundelein. He was like referencing some commercial from when he was a kid that I guess like had Mundelein in it, and I was like, "Yeah, man, you're asking the wrong guy. Like, like you look like you're in like your 60s." I'm just saying, you know. But yeah, so for my 180, finally the moment has arrived. Roger Waters released his Dark Side of the Moon Redux. Is what he's calling. He calls it Redux, even though I think it's not even pronounced correctly. I think it's a French word. Anyways, I saw a comment on Reddit that asked, Roger Waters asked the question, what if music sounded bad? And I think that that's basically what's going to perfectly capture this album. So I want to give some couple like overall points. One, it's lazy. It is so unnecessary. I thought it was gonna be unnecessary coming into it. I still think it's unnecessary. Overall, I think I give the rating like maybe like a 2 out of 10, and I'll explain why when I get into each song here. But two, somebody on Reddit thinks that Roger used a drum machine for the drummer. Now there is a drummer credited on the track personnel, but the more and more I listen to it, and I listened to it like 3 times, unfortunately, I don't know why. I think that it's the drum machine. Like I don't know how Roger thought this was a good idea. He takes away every single thing that David Gilmour does. There is hardly any guitar. There's like a little bit. There's a little bit like acoustic guitar, which is clearly recorded for the purpose of this album. But everything that has to do with David Gilmour, gone. Most things that have anything to do with Rick Wright, gone. And I'm going to explain that by getting into these songs. So we start off with Speak to Me and Breathe. Wouldn't be terrible. Not terrible. The one thing that's weird to me is that Roger Waters takes lyrics from the Pink Floyd song called Free 4, and that's how he starts the album. Let's Speak to Me. As he goes, the memory of a man in his old age or the deeds of a man in his prime. Really cool song. I like Free 4 a lot. You should go listen to it. Not necessary to put into the song, but other than that, not terrible, right? However, I will say that when you get Roger reciting lines from a song that he himself wrote in like 1970, it just kind of shows you how lazy the album's about to be. So not terrible, not great. On the Run, very cool album, or very cool song. Very cool. When the original, you can watch it. If you watch Live at Pompeii, you can see Roger Waters experimenting with all the synthesizers, doing stuff that nobody was doing at the time, just trying to experiment and find a new sound, create the sound of anxiety and anxiousness, and like, oh man, like modern life is so stressful. Well, how about you take that and you read a poem about the battle between good and evil, and you already have your audience put to sleep. Time, Nick and I have already talked about it. Not terrible. Again, not terrible, but also I just find it hilarious that he took out all the guitar solos that David Gilmour did. You take out the beauty of David Gilmour and Rick Wright's harmonies and their singing and their like interplay, and instead you get an 80-year-old man grumbling the entire time. Oh, I forgot to rank them, by the way. Speak to Me, Breathe, I'd give like a 2 out of 10, 3 out of 10. On the Run, 0. Time, again, I give that 4 out of 10. I'll be nicer to Time. Great Gig in the Sky. Great Gig in the Sky has a special place in my heart because it is my mother's favorite Pink Floyd song. I'm pretty sure it is in my father's top 5 of Pink Floyd songs. It is a gorgeous song about, you know, it's the whole point, Great Gig in the Sky in heaven. And, you know, on the original, the woman's wailing, Rick's beautiful piano is playing underneath. Would you like to take that and instead have this stupid 5-minute monologue about your friend passing away? Fuck you, Roger Waters, for ruining my mother's favorite Pink Floyd song, because that's what you did. You took this beautiful song that was written by Rick Wright that you had no part of, and you bastardized it. And I hate you for that. Negative 5 out of 10. Money. Hey, do you guys like good music? And I'm genuinely asking, do you guys like good music?
Yes.
All right. Would you like it if it was bad? So 'cause that's what Money is. That song gets a negative 100 out of 10. That was the worst song on the album. That's one of the worst songs I've ever heard.
That was
in my
the
life.
lead single too.
I
That's
know.
what he led with.
I know. I don't know how you. I don't know. I honestly, let me. Maybe I'm too harsh. It's actually kind of impressive that you managed to take a song that good and make it that bad. There's like guitar solos, the sax solo. It's got lots of energy. It's rock and roll, baby. It gets the kids going. And how about you ramble for 10 minutes?
Let's slow it down and sound like fucking Batman. Just like money.
And then the poem in the middle is so stupid, man. How did he think this is a good idea? I have to know. I don't know.
I have an answer for you. I'll wait till you're done, but I have a genuine answer for you.
I have a genuine answer too. Money. Hello, I'm Eugene Krabs. Money. Us and Them. Actually, that one wasn't too bad. I give that again. I'm not gonna give any of them higher than 5 out of 10. Us and Them, I'll give a 4 out of 10. Not too terrible. Any Color You Like. Another song that originally was just all instrumental, very cool, very groovy. It's just poems. It's just a poem. It's just more poems. That's all it is, man. And then Brain Damage and Eclipse. I made this joke to Nick when I was predicting how the album would go. And I told him, I was like, wouldn't it be funny if Roger just took the original Brain Damage and Eclipse and just put them on the album, literally the original 1973 cuts and put them on this album. Well, he didn't do that because obviously that would mean that you need to keep David Gilmour's guitar in, which he can have none of. And instead, though, he redoes it. It's boring. There's no guitar. There's some bass. There's the drum track. But it is kind of funny because that is without a doubt the only song. Now, if you don't know, in the original Brain Damage Eclipse, those are the only 2 songs Roger Waters. Excuse me, I'm burping now. Those are the only songs that Roger Waters sings on, and he 100% gives it his all to sing on those 2 songs on this one. The entire album, he is speaking monotone, no emotion whatsoever. And the moment it gets back to his songs, he immediately is actually putting vocal change. I don't know. It just cracks me up because I knew it was going to happen, and sure enough, it did. Those songs, again, fine, 3 out of 10 because he doesn't add any poems. Overall, horrible album. I award you no points, Roger. May God have mercy on your soul. Because dude, I am flabbergasted. Honestly, I'm flabbergasted. I'm flabbergasted that he had the audacity to do this. I'm flabbergasted that Nick Mason called it brilliant. It is not. It is lazy. It is horrible. I can't. There's not enough I'm sure there are adjectives, but it is the product of an egotistical, narcissistic maniac, just trying to hear himself talk. That is all it is so bad.
That was going to be my answer to you.
Now.
That was going to be my answer. I don't even think Roger Waters cares about money at this point. I think he is so self-absorbed and likes to hear himself talk so much that he is willing to do whatever it takes to just get in front of people. It's just incredible the lengths he will go to.
Well, obviously he doesn't care about money. Otherwise, he would have made the song better.
Yeah. Yeah. I will. And I do have one more comment. And I saw this on Facebook. So brilliant. Whoever commented it on Facebook was Dark Side of the Moon, more like Dark Side of the Audiobook. And that is exactly that. Honestly, like when I saw that comment, I was like, oh, I can't even do this 180 because that sums it up perfectly. It is Dark Side of the Audiobook. That's all.
It blows my mind how Pink Floyd put out so many. Perfect. I don't know another word to describe it. Wish You Were Here, perfect. Dark Side, perfect. Animals, perfect. Ty, you're a bigger Floyd fan than I am. I'm sure you have a longer list than I do, but I know those are the 3 that I actually have in my vinyl collection. And to just go back and remaster and or bastardize some of those, it blows my mind. It really does.
Yeah, it is so bad. And and honestly, I'd agree with you that that like Wish You Were Here, Dark Side, and Animals are like my favorite because I think those like that really was their peak. Oh, and then yeah, and then because like I obviously I
the
like
Wall.
all
How
their
did I
albums.
forget the Wall?
Well, I know that
Jeez.
they have the Wall, but even the Wall, man, like if you listen to it now, I was telling Nick about it. It's like you can tell that Roger has way too much control over it. It's like holy cow, like somebody needs to shut this dude up. But I mean, like I love all their albums, everything from Piper the Gates of Dawn through into Obscured by Clouds and Metals, and even all this stuff like Umaguma. Everybody hates Umaguma. I love Umaguma. It's so fun and weird. I love it, man. I love all the weird stuff. Oh, I do hate Momentary Lapse of Reason. That album can go in the bin. That album sucked. I was gonna throw some more F-bombs in there, but we already used one, so I'm not gonna do it anymore.
I used the second one. You can throw some more in there.
Yeah. No, that album was terrible. David Gilmour should not have been allowed to make that either. I don't know. That's the problem. You get these guys with their egos, and then you let them roll with it, and you're like, "Hey, stop it. Get some help. I'm done."
Like, I'm sorry, just how casually you slid that in there. Like you didn't.
Stop
you
it.
half tried to do the voice, and it just threw me. Anyway, Nick, wrap it up. Take us home.
Oh my God. Okay, I don't even know if I want to do this one, but you know what? Let's roll with it. We could edit it out if it's bad. So, so we are recording today on October 9th.
No.
Just wait. Hear me out. October 9th, 2023. It happens to be Columbus Day. Now, Christopher Columbus in recent years, very controversial figure. And look, I understand why. You know, as an Italian American myself, I know a lot of older Italian Americans, and they don't like that Christopher Columbus is a controversial figure because when I talk to them about it, they're like, no, he was our guy. He represents Italian Americans. He's our guy. He has the statues all over the place. You know, what are we just going to take that down? It's like, okay, if that's the issue, we as Italian Americans have a very rich history of famous people who have contributed great things. So here I have just a list of Italian Americans that you could put statues up for in place of Christopher Columbus. You got Al Pacino, phenomenal actor. Robert De Niro, great actor. Joe Pesci, phenomenal actors. James Gandolfini. Honestly, anybody who has starred in The Sopranos, any Italian American that starred in The Sopranos deserves it. I'm rewatching that show right now for like the third time. If you haven't watched it, just go and watch it right now. Stop listening to the show. I don't know what you're doing listening to this if you haven't watched The Sopranos. You don't want to build a statue just of an actor that's played a mobster? Okay, I understand that. What about Joe DiMaggio, Anthony Rizzo, Dan Marino, Vince Lombardi? We've got honestly, I'm going to be honest. All I have are actors and baseball players because I threw this together last minute. I thought Tyke was going to take longer with his review, so I didn't.
Honestly, it took pretty long though. All things considered.
But yeah. Anyway, we have plenty of options, so it doesn't need to be Columbus. There you go. I'm done.
I thought I was going to go a way different direction.
I know.
Also, really, you couldn't come up with anybody.
Oh, Frank Sinatra. If you're going to do anybody, do Sinatra.
Oh, my God.
Marissa Tomei, Spider-Man's aunt.
I'm just glad they didn't do like certain politicians. I was like, is he really going down this route? I was like, holy cow.
I literally pulled up like the Wikipedia article of famous Italian Americans. I saw politicians. It's like skipping over that.
yeah. Nope.
Oh my God. I have something witty to say after all of our one. I got nothing. Especially ending on Marissa Tomei. I got nothing.
I love how the movies play, like the Spider-Man movies play up into that. They're like, hey,
it's so
your
great.
aunt. It's so good. That's so good.
Well, in a similar vein as how we ended last week, if I remember correctly, I'm going to wrap this up before we get ourselves into any trouble. So my name is Jordan DuPont. As always, joined by Nick DeCola, Tyg Mullen, and Andrew Freeman. You can check out the show on Twitter at 4StarPodCHI, website 4StarPodCHI.com. You can follow Nick on Twitter at Nicola21, Tig at TM Mullen 007, Andrew at AJ Freeman 25. You can also check out Andrew's other work for the Bear Report on 247sports.com. Does his Tracking the Trenches report where he does a wrap up of the line play from the previous week. Does a great job there. Really interesting stuff. And he's also on the Picks for Polls podcast. Thank you all so much for watching. If you thought anything we said was entertaining or funny, be sure to like, comment, share, subscribe, all that fun stuff. If you want Nick making a fool of himself, you can get that every week also. Yeah, I got nothing else. We'll be back again ranting and raving next week, and hopefully raving this time instead of ranting. Have a good one and enjoy the rest of your week.